Impact Interview is sponsored by the Pocono Mountains, where small town charm meets big adventures. Book your trip today by visiting PoconoMountains.com.
Our next guest, Kerry Collins, ranks among the top players ever to wear the blue and white, All-American, Heisman finalist, Maxwell Award winner, member of the College Football Hall of Fame, a Super Bowl and Pro Bowl QB, 17-year NFL veteran, and perhaps most importantly, 30 years ago, they played Oregon in the Rose Bowl, the 1994 team, which is storied and everyone knows about. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, and it's really just a treat to catch up with you, Kerry. Thanks so much for the time.
Great to be here. Good to talk with you guys.
All right, so look, this is our impact interview, we call it, and we're going to talk about your impact. The quarterback position at Penn State was fully endowed by a gift you made, and you and your wife, Brooke, have made philanthropy a real priority. Why is that the case? Why is it so important to you?
Well, I think, first of all, the opportunity to be able to give back to a university that gave me so much, was something that I wanted to do, as soon as I was fortunate enough to make it to the NFL. And, since then it's been, a little bit of a calling, with various organizations, various local things, various national things. So, listen, I've been very, very fortunate to have played as long as I did and to be in a position to be able to give back a little bit.
Kerry, during your time in college and the NFL, you obviously played for Joe Paterno and Jim Fossil with the Giants, and certainly the owner, Wellington Mara, is so respected. But what are some of the things that you take away from your time with people like that?
And to that point, I was very fortunate to play for some of the patriarchs of the modern game, right? Of course, Joe, you mentioned Wellington Mara, Al Davis with the Raiders, right? Some of the molders and the formers of the game that we know today, and they each had something different, right? Certainly the discipline and things that I learned from Joe, I took with me throughout every endeavor I've ever taken on. Al Davis was sharp as a tack. He was smart. He had a different way of looking at things, but it was another unique perspective. And of course, a guy like Wellington Mara, who just stood for so much and class and respect and what he did for the NFL and making it what it is today. So, man, I was just so fortunate to have played for some of the greats that shaped the game know today.
You touched on some of those other endeavors, and they're really wide-ranging, from cattle ranching to real estate to music. How did you get so interested in so many different things? And on a side note, music-wise, you're in the country music hotbed. Who do you listen to now the most?
Yeah, apparently I pick like the really hard things and do, like cattle and music and all that kind of stuff. But being here in Nashville, gosh, the talent around here is just amazing, right? And lately, certainly Morgan Wallen, I like Cody Johnson. Gosh, there's a couple new guys, names are escaping me at the moment, but I kind of fluctuate between country and grunge and 80s. I mean, you name it. I'm kind of all over the place. So right now I'm in my 80s mode. I got 80s on 8 on Sirius XM, playing all the time. So, but certainly appreciate everything that Nashville has to offer from a music standpoint.
Shifting gears here for a second, you were drafted by the Detroit Tigers, and their team president was Bo Schembechler. Obviously, You chose the right sport, but do you ever think about what that baseball career might have looked like? I mean, I'm sure Bo would have been happy for you not to be on the field at Michigan in '94, but you ever think about what that career might have looked like?
I do, but I remember at the time I was pretty certain of what I wanted to do, and I knew that my ceiling was a lot higher in football than was going to be in baseball. I mean, I was 6'5", whatever, 210, 220, right-hander who could throw hard, but I mean, I had no off-speed stuff. There was going to be a big learning curve for me as far as being a pitcher and ultimately, my prospects of making it to the major leagues. So, and I had a decent bat. The Tigers talked to me about playing third base, and but I was really kind of burnt out on baseball. I was, football was where my heart was and my passion was. And certainly the opportunity to go play at Penn State and not, toiling in the minors, for $850 a month in somewhere West Virginia. Not there's anything wrong with West Virginia. I'm not saying that, but the prospect of playing quarterback at Penn State certainly kind of overshadowed, what I think minor league baseball had to offer.
So, Kerry, I got to ask you this. We ask a lot of former players this when we get them on the show. If you were playing in the NIL age, what would you want to have had to deal with? What would have been your dream NIL endorsement?
Oh, well, at the time, it probably would have been like Yingling or something, no, that's a great question. I don't know. I'll say this, and I know I'm not answering your question. I'm glad I wasn't playing in the NIL. I mean, this is ridiculous. I mean, the pay's great, and I'm all for them getting paid, and I'm a free market capitalist to the core, but we got to find some guardrails here, and add in a transfer portal and stuff, man. It's just a different. I don't think you can have the kind of team that we had these days. It's just impossible. It's just not able to happen. So yeah. Okay. So answer your question. It would probably be, it'd probably be CC Peppers, man, because I was a big cheesesteak fan. Yes. And I wouldn't want any money. I would just want like free cheesesteaks,
So while we're playing the what if game, and it's a fun game to play, there is a 12-team playoff. So if you had that team together in '94, come on, how much fun would that have been to tackle that and take them into a 12-team format?
Yeah, I mean, we would love the 2-team format, right? But I tell you, it's made the game exciting. It really has, and I think it's added a level of excitement to it. And I think it's been a long time coming. Is the system perfect? Probably not. But will it ever be? I don't think it'll ever be. But it's a step in the right direction, in my opinion. So it certainly gives those teams a chance. That it's like Boise State. What do we know about Boise State? Well, they got a good running back. But what about their defense? And how are they going to match up? And you get these teams that are hot. And all of a sudden, they were kind of off the radar. All of a sudden, they're knocking people off, and of course, a lot of it has to do with the draw, right? What's your first round matchup? You got to travel, you got to go somewhere. What does that look like? So, but I'll tell you, the SEC and the Big Ten realignment, I wasn't a fan of. I'm like, I'm a purist, I guess you could say, but it really has added a lot of excitement, a lot of great games this year. I mean, there's been phenomenal games every weekend.
Yeah, from my standpoint, last question is just about that. Look, they're going to face Oregon. You guys had to go through the Big Ten, and then, it was that dream matchup, right, of a Rose Bowl type of thing in order to see the Ducks. How cool is it that they get to see them in the Big Ten championship game and really 30 years later kind of revisiting a lot of those memories from your guys' win over Oregon?
Yeah, no, I think there's a cool little irony there, or coincidence there, and hey, listen, I really respect the team that we have this year, and I respect what they've done, and certainly the Ohio State game was wasn't great, but man, I like the character of this team. I love what Coach Franklin's done. 2 big road wins, USC, Minnesota. These games are tough, right? And so to see what they've done, and regardless how the Big Ten championship game goes, I like their prospects in the playoffs, right? I mean, I feel like they, there's one of those teams that are going to be a tough out. So looking forward to it. I hope they beat those Ducks like we did, and we'll be watching from down here in Nashville for sure.
Awesome, Kerry. Thanks so much for the time. Jay, anything else?
Thanks, Kerry. Appreciate it. Really, really do.
You got it, guys. Good talking with you.